All right, and
Welcome to Behind Relationship Goals.
episode number
7?
or 6, we're actually not sure because
It's
we
been a
haven't been
while.
posting in a while. But anyway, welcome to the podcast. We have returned. I hope we can do this consistently. Bones, what has happened?
What has happened is that I am actually the one in charge of the podcast, and I got sick for a week, and then that became an excuse for me not to do anything and just laze around and be a fish.
Yeah, but at any rate, we're here now and we have a new setup.
I know.
I'm actually enjoying being head of art department. So we've
Akala ko ba
been-
ako yung head of art department
Well, I was
dito?
head of art department for
this episode. Okay.
Relax. So hostile. So if you watch the video version of this podcast, we've been playing around with our setups and just having fun with what we have. There's been a lot of activity going on in terms of what we want to do for the podcast.
Yeah.
So we're actually working on partnerships and sponsorships behind the scenes. So watch out for that very, very soon. We're very excited for that. But anyway, we're jumping into the meat of the podcast. Bones, what do we have for today?
Well, people have been messaging me about the different topics that we could talk about, and there's actually a quite touchy subject that they want us to discuss. And it's something that is very, I don't know, like I think it's an important part of every individual and every relationship, I would say. Why are you laughing?
No, just go. Your intro's kind of funny, but go.
But okay, let's just get to it.
Yes.
It's about money.
Yeah.
Okay, our topic is about money.
And when you said it's kind of an important part of an individual's life, and yeah, it's actually a very important.
It's a
part of
vital part.
everyone's lives. So we're talking about money. This is very taboo, especially here in the Philippines, or actually maybe all around the world.
Yeah.
There are a lot of different notions and misconceptions when it comes to money, and most especially when it comes to talking about it. So Bones and I want to discuss our take on it, and I think that our take on it has been very progressive, but we'll get to that later on.
Yes, we will. And well, iba kasi, like Mika and I grew up in such different environments, and we also grew up with different teachings from our parents. So it was quite interesting when we started talking about money in our relationship because of that. Diba?
Yes. So I guess that will start off with why money is such a sensitive topic.
Yeah.
And I think that is born out of our own experiences. So maybe we can share, like, before meeting one another, what
Our concept was
what
about
was our
money.
concept about money?
Well, from my end, it would have to be from my parents, obviously. And the teachings that my dad especially taught me back then was that you don't talk about money with people. Like, whatever your money is, just keep it to yourself. Because he was like, why would you share all these things with other people? So growing up, I never really shared any information about money with my brother and sister. Like, we didn't know how much each of us was earning. I didn't know how much money was going into the household. Basically, anything about money, I left up to my dad.
Okay. My turn. In my family, it's actually not too far from your experience. My mom and my dad also said that you don't talk about money freely. You have to be very careful who you talk to, who you talk to about money. And it was actually, it actually came to the point that I had absolutely no idea of what the value of money was.
Yeah.
Because it was something that they wouldn't talk to me about. They wouldn't talk to me about their salary or
Same.
the household bills.
Same.
And they also made it seem like you don't talk to about money even within your siblings.
Yeah. Or your parents.
Yeah, or people who you're close to
Yeah.
that extent. And it was so bad that I have one story. We're 8 children. Now we're 9. But during the time that my dad was alive, we were 8 brothers and sisters. And I think I was in high school already, first
Okay.
year high school. And someone had asked me, hey, how much are your parents earning? And of course,
Okay.
I didn't see any malice in it.
Yeah.
I just thought oh, okay. Let me think. And I thought, maybe they earn 15 to 20,000 pesos a month.
Okay.
And when I thought about it, I mean, all of us were going to Ateneo at the time.
Okay. And then you were like, how can they afford that if your concept of how much they earn is that much.
Yeah, sobrang layo ng disconnect
Yes.
from that time. And it's only now that I'm older that I realize, obviously, my mom and dad didn't earn just 15 to 20,000
Okay.
pesos a month when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Because that was impossible. How are they going to
How
send
are
us
they
to
able?
school?
Yeah. How are they able to, support everyone?
That story is just to emphasize the disconnect I had simply because my parents refused to let us talk about money.
Mm-hmm.
And I get that. I think what they were trying to do was protect us from talking about money in a bad way. Kasi syempre,
Yeah.
if you talk about it in a certain way, you could make yourself a target for other people.
Yes, or people could just say, ang yabang naman nito.
Yeah, so one, mayabang ka. Two, it could jealousy
Yeah.
could also create chaos.
Yes.
Sometimes it could lead to violence.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, because of their overprotectiveness to do that, they forgot that syempre, there are
To
basic
teach.
learnings about money that they should have taught us as well.
Yeah.
And I think they were very hesitant about that.
I think just to add on to that from my experience, because I started earning quite young. I started earning at
Yeah,
the
you
age of
did.
15. And of course, not knowing anything about money, I left everything up to my dad. So during this time, up until, even when we met, I didn't know how much I was earning. I didn't know how much I was spending. So that was the disconnect that I had from money and my knowledge about earnings.
Yes, you were working already and you had no idea what exactly was happening.
I was just earning. I knew how much I earned per project, but I was like, oh, okay, well, I think I have this much money. But since my dad was handling everything, hinayaan ko na lang siya.
Yeah. So that's basically our background when it comes
Mm-hmm.
to money. And as you got older, your dad took care of it.
He did.
As I got older, I realized that I was good at math.
Yeah.
And this is like a super short story. So I liked math. Math liked me back. So it was a lovely, very rare relationship with the subject. And because of that, I thought, okay, maybe I'll be a banker when I grow up. So I guess my predisposition towards money grew. My fondness
Yeah.
for the concept and my openness to the concept of money and numbers grew. And I think for most people, because they didn't like math, their disdain for numbers and money kind of grew as well. So
Yeah.
I went in the opposite direction. And because of that, I became more open to learning more concepts and different concepts. And then eventually, when I started working and earning my own money, I was able to put some of these own concepts, ideas, and thoughts into practice.
Yes.
And I guess I realized I was actually quite progressive in a certain way.
Mm-hmm. Considering the background that you had.
Yeah.
Okay. So Mick and I obviously got together at a point when, you just finished college
Mhm.
and I was 20 years old and you were 22. And at this point, obviously my parents were split up already.
Yeah.
So I my backbone for my knowledge, whatever knowledge I had about money.
Whoever took care of your finances
wasn't there
suddenly
anymore.
wasn't there anymore.
Because my dad was my accountant before. So I was just like, Dad, ikaw na bahala. But since my parents weren't together anymore, this was a point in my life when it was just me, Victor, and Lauren living together. My mom was in the US. My dad was away now. He was with his new family. And we were just like, oh no, what are we going to do? Where are our savings?
Yeah, and I think this led to our first encounter as a couple when it comes to money.
When it comes.
Don't you think so? I think that was
Yes.
what led to it.
Yes.
So do you remember what that was?
Well, I remember I was doing teleseries at this time, and parang you were shocked at all the shopping that I was doing.
Okay, yes, I remember now. So I had just started. It was my first year in GMA. And syempre, starting off, really trying to grind it out. And I obviously didn't have a lot of savings because I had just started working. Pero si Megan, siguro every week or so, she would come in with bags. 2 arms full of bags.
From shopping.
From Zara, from... Oh, okay. We're gonna bleep that out. From bench. And basically, she just had bags, so many shopping bags every 10 days, maybe.
Yeah, I would go shopping for clothes like all the time. And in my head, I was thinking, oh, I can use this for work. But it was really just me spending.
Yeah, and in my head naman, I was like, wow, well, sa bagay, 6 years na siya sa industriya. Siguro, ang laki na ng kita niya. At least that's what I was thinking. Siyempre, hindi ko naman talaga alam.
Yeah.
And then, it came to the point na siguro by the third or fourth time na nakita ko siya, na nag-shopping, I politely asked lang naman. I was like, what did I ask you?
I don't know. I don't remember what you asked.
I basically went along the lines of, hey, what's this called? You went shopping again. So how much did you spend on that? Siyempre, parang ano lang, non-hostile question.
Yeah.
So she gave me the answer, and I was like, oh, so that's so cool that you get to go shopping like that. And I said, how do you pay for that on credit card or on cash?
Yeah.
And then she was like, oh yeah, no, I just use my credit card. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Well, I mean, and then I just said, at least you pay for your credit card every month. And then crickets. It was this complete silence. And she was just looking at me. She gave me a really, really weird and blank look. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. You do know you have to pay off your credit card at the end of every month, right?
Oh my gosh.
And talagang her eyes just grew and she was like, huh? She completely didn't understand what I was talking about.
Oh,
Kasi
gosh.
yun nga, her dad, do you remember this now?
Yeah, because my dad did he paid for all the bills. Even my phone bill, he would pay for it
Yeah,
before.
and then sobrang uninformed si Megan when it came to what had to be paid for. She didn't even know that she had to pay for her credit card bill whenever she uses it. Akala niya parang, yun na, kung ano yung credit card niya, pera na niya yun. Pag sinaswipe niya, hindi niya alam na kailangan pa niya bayaran.
Yeah, I didn't know that debit was different from credit.
Oh my God. And I was like, oh my God. And at that point, that's when I kind of felt, okay, you know what? I think this is the first time that I will kind of step in and maybe just talk about money matters with Megan.
Because we were like a year into our relationship at that time.
Yeah. So what happened there was I said, hey, where are your credit card bills? Kahit yung credit card bills niya, never niya nakita. She had never seen a credit card bill in her life, I think.
Yeah, because my mom would take it.
Would be the ones taking
and
it.
then she would take it. My
So
mom would
bad.
get my credit card bills.
Oh my God.
She would file it, and then my dad would be the one paying it for it. So in a sense, like you said, our parents were probably trying to protect us or help us out, but then we were spoiled in a way na we didn't learn anything.
Yeah, they wanted to protect us, but they didn't set us up. They didn't give us a good foundation
Yes.
to deal with money matters on our own eventually. So
Yeah.
yun yung pagkukulang. Parang sumobra, overprotective.
Yeah, we're not trying to diss our parents here, by the way.
Yeah, we
we're
love
just
you guys. You guys are amazing.
we're just trying to like explain on the overprotectiveness that they had towards us and what the effects that it had on us, diba?
Megan eventually found her credit card bill.
I did.
So I said, okay, give it to me. Let me see. And when I saw it, I was like, oh my bleeping, what?
What the fudge?
What the fork is this? So I was like, hey, you know what? There's really no good way to break this to you. So I'm just going to give it to you and just see for yourself. That's what you have to pay. And she cried. She bawled. She just cried her eyes out because she did not have that much money
I didn't.
in her bank account.
Because in my head, I'm thinking, okay, I earn this much per taping, and I guess I have this much money, but I didn't take into account the other bills that I had to pay, like rent and the water and the electricity.
Yeah, it was a shocking moment. It was a shocking moment for me also. Because I was coming from a different background when it comes to financial information. So I was very aware that you had to pay for your credit card bills. Because yun nga, that was my course.
Yeah.
And I was into it, and I wanted to become a banker. So I was actively learning about these things and what I had to do to take care of it. And it was a shock to me that you were at that point in terms of your financial info.
But I mean, let's also consider the fact that when you asked for the credit card bill, I was really hesitant to give it to you.
Oh yeah.
I was very hesitant because in my head, I'm like, he shouldn't know how much I'm spending. He shouldn't know how much money that I have. Like, because that's the concept that I was taught.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You're right. You're right. And I guess
It wasn't that easy for us to
yeah,
get
this
to
is
that
us
point.
breaking our barrier.
Yeah.
Because me, it was also a huge decision for myself to suddenly say, "Hey, I think I need to help you out." Because it was very clear. So I mean, if you could see that there was a very clear, I guess, problem. You can call it a problem. There was a very clear problem in terms of the finances being managed. And there was no one else there. I had to make a quick decision and say, okay, I'm going to be the one to step in. But then, of course, I tried to consider everything. I mean, your parents weren't available.
Yeah.
So who else was going to do this and try to help you out?
Because, I mean, okay, we're 1 year into the relationship. Of course, it's all like lovey-dovey and happy.
Honeymoon phase.
And I think this was one of the breaking points that we had where our relationship became, it turned deeper. And we were there for each other on a different level.
Yes. So this was the beginning, okay? Hindi yun automatic na I come in and we talk about money matters and then level up agad. Oh my God. Ever since then, biggest headaches for me. Simply because I had to help Megan and introduce her to being responsible for her own money.
And these were coming from habits that I had with shopping. Like I would shop a lot, and unnecessary shopping at that.
Yeah, and the hardest thing to break are bad habits.
And this was a really bad habit of mine. Like if I'm in the mall and I see something I like, buy. I don't even think if I need it or not. I'm just like, ooh, I like this, and then I'll buy it.
Okay,
Before.
So yeah, so I think that sets the groundwork for how we started and how we got into starting to talk about money. So where do we move on from this topic?
Well, because we had different instances, like the credit card bill, like the condo that I bought when I was younger.
Yeah, so I guess basically this opened up how we start dealing with money, and then we were able to slowly talk about it more.
Slowly
and
be open about
add in more aspects of how we deal with it.
From being a responsible Megan with money, Mikael has actually taught me a lot about finances and being able to manage everything. So here's a little bit of learnings that I guess you have taught me.
Yeah, I guess dealing with money matters in relationships. I mean, yes, it is very scary jumping into that topic and starting to talk about that with your significant other. But if you feel that you have an experience to share, a tip to give that you think will help that person, I think you should give it.
Yeah. I mean, you're looking out for your partner in some ways. You're not trying to be intrusive, but Mikael saw that there was a problem going on and he was really easy about it. Like he wasn't going to be like, "Oh my God, you're doing this wrong." He was like, "Hey, I'm here to help."
Yeah. Okay, basically kailangan mo itimpla. Like I waited till the very last minute when I felt na okay, I really need to tell her about this because she's gonna dig herself a deeper hole. So you really have to wait. Timing there. Timing is very, very important for when you're gonna finally bring it up. But when you finally bring it up, you need to get into it wholeheartedly and know that, I guess for both parties involved, boyfriend and girlfriend, you need to know that syempre, it's all just good intention. There's no malice involved.
There is no malice.
So once you break that barrier, it gets easier and easier to talk about it. And eventually, it gets to the point that your synergy when it comes to this kind of topic is so high that you guys are actually helping each other out, which I think is something that we have been able to reach. Or we are constantly trying to
We're constantly trying to get
towards.
there. And I think ever since naman, the one thing that I had struggled with was saving money. And Mikael has taught me various ways on how to save money. And one of them was we tried to tackle on the problem. What was the problem? I couldn't save money. What was the solution? He let me think of my own solution so that he didn't dictate anything.
Yeah.
Because he wanted it to come from me on how I could figure out how to save. So my solution was that I wasn't going to go shopping. Right? I didn't go shopping.
But the way I asked you that, the way I phrased that is, We had started traveling already.
Mm-hmm.
Megan was enjoying a lot. I don't know if I mentioned this in the podcast before, but I'll get into detail. I asked Megan, okay, do you want to get yourself a designer bag? Or do you want to spend 5 days with me in Japan, eating anything that we want, drinking as much coffee as we want, and it's going to be extremely memorable? So I told her, think about it. How many memories are you going to have with the bag alone? But if you take the trip, how many unforgettable trips have we had? To the point na kinukwento mo lagi sa mga friends mo. So that helped her decide and prioritize what she
I really
wants.
wanted. And there's nothing bad with either decision. Like I
Yeah.
could have chosen the designer bag or I could have chosen the trips, but each one would be based on, okay, this is my priority. And when Mikael asked me that question, I didn't even think about it. I said travel. And I knew right then and there that I wasn't going to be attached to material things, that I didn't need to buy all these things that I kept saving on my laptop, saving on my computer for like future buys. So we went on that trip and we saved for that trip.
Yes,
In
we
general.
did. And I think what that does, when you prioritize what you want, you're able to cut away all the excess. Some people, kasi when they save, they suddenly spend on things unnecessarily, pero yun pala, it's not what they really, really want. So I think the trick is the saving, is you really need to figure out what's going to make you the happiest, and then just shoot for that, save for that.
So
And
if
then
you-
everything else, wag na.
Yeah, if you want to save up for that bag, have a bag fund. If you want to go on that trip, have a travel fund.
Speaking of funds, that was one technique that Megan and I used. So we travel, and I think a big problem that relationships encounter is who is going to pay.
And we have discussed this in the podcast before.
Yeah.
We both pay for ourselves.
Yes. And I guess just to make it easier on us, we have a travel fund that we put money into every month.
Mm-hmm.
And basically there's just a minimum. And the minimum can be super small. Like even for my family, I would tell them, hey, you know what? Let's all contribute like $500 a month.
Yeah, for the like,
If you want to put more, you can put more. Kung may extra ka.
if you need to put less because of your earnings, okay lang din.
Yeah, that's not a problem. But just put every month. And if there's enough money for us to take a trip, we can zero out that bank account anytime.
You know what? I was telling Victor, my brother, when he wasn't working, out of your allowance, how much can you save in a week? And he's like, I can save 50 pesos. And I said, save that, because 50 pesos a week goes a long way. And you could even take, you know, a beach trip out of town with like half a year savings. I mean, things like that. And you never know nowadays, like promos for airlines are so affordable.
Yeah, or you could buy 60 BCC every month if you save $50 a week from your
Hashtag gaming is life.
allowance. No, but yeah, one technique that we did was the travel fund. So we create funds for things that we want, and over time, we don't rush ourselves. You can't be in a rush for these things. I think the patience and the grind to save up for the things you want, parang it makes it more worth it.
Yeah.
Sulit when you actually get to buy it.
So just to be clear, somebody asked us if we have a shared account.
Oh.
Somebody was asking, do you guys have a joint account? And the only account that we have is our travel fund.
Yeah.
And we don't use it for anything else. Like, we're not allowed to touch it. We both have access to that because when we travel, obviously, we both need access to that. So yeah, every month we put in an amount of money there, and we just save that for the next time that we travel.
And it's been going on ever since, which is why when you watch the vlogs, we're spontaneously traveling. Kasi syempre, secure na kami sa travel budget eh.
Yes.
Alam na namin kung ano yung travel budget namin. So we're not afraid to spend right away. And that's something that we earned.
And there,
Because we've been working for 8 years and
Yeah.
doing the travel fund for 8 years.
and there are times when we don't get to travel. Like last year when we were working for 10 months straight,
1 year straight.
1 year straight, we didn't travel at all. Like we had some weekend trips,
Yeah.
pero we didn't spend a lot on those.
Yeah, and because of that, sobrang lumaki yung travel fund naman namin.
And we were able to go to New York after that
Oo,
1 year of working.
Biglaan lang.
Yeah.
So that was pretty fun. And I really like that one. And you actually have another one here is, do you suggest that people have shared accounts like this?
I think it depends on on the both of you. Like, I think it depends on like the trust level that you have with each other also. I'm not saying that you shouldn't trust your partner, but if you're already at that level when you can trust each other with this money, then okay lang. Or if not, then have separate savings, diba?
Okay.
Have a separate savings account, have a piggy bank in your room, or just open a new account for something that you want to save up for if you don't want to have a joint account.
Yeah. Oh, and there's one more story that Megan actually put down here. Learning the value of money. So we've talked about
Savings.
how we opened up the money conversation. We've talked about how we prioritize what we want and how we save up for that.
Okay.
And I think another topic that we can talk about is how to value money. Another topic that we can talk about is how to value the money. I mean, yeah, you could spend a lot on, like, let's say a bag, pero was it worth it?
Okay.
Diba? And I think we have a story when it comes to the phones.
Okay, I used to be not very careful with a lot of things.
Very clumsy.
And I'm a very clumsy person in general, but there's that extra amount of care that you should put into things that you save up for and things that you work hard for. And I used to be very clumsy with my phones.
Yeah, so there was one time that Megan and I had new iPhones. It was like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And on the first year of using it, Megan completely wrecks the LCD.
Oh, yeah.
But the thing is, even before her phone before that, she wrecked the LCD also. And I think there was another instance where she possibly lost the phone. Basta, laging may nangyayari sa mga cellphone niya. And cell phones are expensive.
Yeah, they're not cheap.
And at that time, you know, she was trying to get her money matters in order. She was trying to take care of herself financially. So I took her aside and I was like, hey, dude, you have to take care of your stuff. I mean, how much is an iPhone? Sobrang mahal yan.
Yeah.
Some people save like a year in advance just to buy an iPhone. Then ikaw, binabasag mo lang.
Yeah.
Like, walang pakialam. I mean, I get it. Sometimes we will drop our phones. Pero for Megan, it was like 4 phones in a row na may nangyayari.
And it would be like my reaction at that time when the phone would fall and I'd be like, ay. And then, pag okay na, wala lang.
Oo, walang pakialam. So parang, okay lang. Parang she's expecting it to happen na lang. So I was like, wait, you know what? You can't do this kasi you don't see the value of your money. Binabaliwala mo lang. And I felt that was very disappointing because, I mean, you work hard for this.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, maybe your earning capacity is higher than the normal person, but that doesn't mean that you should devalue it.
Okay. And then, so what happened after the
So
phone
basically,
broke?
she broke the iPhone. I took it and I said, ayusin ko to, but I will not give it back to you. I am going to give you a low-end phone. So I gave her a dumb phone. It was a feature phone, and I told her, until you can prove to me that you can take care of this, you are not going to get your iPhone back.
It was basically, he gave me a phone like that was an egg. And I had to take care of my baby egg phone.
Yeah, and it was so frustrating for her kasi syempre, walang Instagram.
Meron naman, but like
Instagram ba?
the photo, like the
meron naman.
the speed of the phone wasn't at par with the previous phone that I had.
And the camera sucked.
The camera sucked. I needed the camera for work. And it was just so slow because I had all these messaging apps and then it was too slow for me. And it would always overheat when I would charge it.
And lagi nawawala ng battery kasi sobrang hina ng battery niya. So ang dami niyang problema. But what happened when you were using it?
I became very careful of it. Even though I was frustrated with my phone, I learned how to be more efficient with my phone and not just take a bunch of pictures or download all these weird apps.
Weird apps.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I had like a bunch of games. You know how I like to test all these games? So I just kept one game on my phone. One game on my phone. And, you know, I took really good care of it. And I actually fell in love with my phone, to be honest. Even
Nagkaroon ng sentimental value.
Nagkaroon ng sentimental value yung phone ko until, you know, it was giving up already and it was just overheating like crazy.
Yeah, and my point was she just needed to see the value of her nicer phone na lagi niyang nilalaglag at sinisira at binabasag yung screen. So when I gave her that lesser phone, being able to maximize it, take care of it, made her appreciate when she moved back to the iPhone eventually.
Yeah.
So, good job.
Thanks. Good.
All right. So with that, I guess that ends story time when it comes to this topic. Actually, that's like the initial salvo. I think there are many other podcasts that can really delve into this topic and I guess talk about deeper issues. But I guess this is just skimming the surface.
Yeah. Now we move on to questions.
Yeah, we have questions from people.
Instagram. So I always ask questions there about the current topic that we're gonna discuss, and we have quite a lot about money.
Yeah, we do.
Interestingly.
Okay, go for the first one.
Okay, somebody asked, who pays pag first date? Who pays if you guys have been in a relationship for a long time?
Well, did I mention this about the first date before?
Yes, you did. You said that guys pay for the first date.
Yeah, I mean, when you're trying to court a girl or nililigawan mo siya, I think the guys should always offer to pay.
Okay.
It's very, very nice, and it says a lot to me when the girl says, "Hey, are you sure I can pay also?" And of course, I will never allow that. But for me,
it's common courtesy.
Yeah, some girls kasi parang, hindi, babae ako, ikaw magbayad.
Oh,
I won't even offer.
Like
and for me, parang insensitive naman, especially kung we save, kasi us guys, we kind of save up sometimes to bring you to a nice restaurant.
Yeah.
Diba? So parang it's, I guess, one way of showing that you
appreciate the time and the effort.
Our effort.
Yeah.
I mean,
at least offer.
Yeah, if you could see naman that the guy was really not going to allow you to pay anyway, then it wouldn't hurt to offer. But that's just my 2 cents. And pag matagal na,
I mean, just like for us, what happens is we don't count who paid for the last date or whatever.
Yeah.
It's either we share the bill or I don't know, whoever has their wallet, I guess.
Yeah, actually, pag matagal na, we've kind of settled into a routine where we already know what one another wants, and we actually don't spend a lot anymore when it comes to dates.
Yeah, because we don't really go out.
We don't really go out.
We don't go out.
Sa
Like
totoo
we
lang.
buy our coffee and then like I'll just make for you or you'll make for me. And simple things like that.
Anyway, pag tumatagal na, I think you'll develop your own magkakaroon kayo ng sariling diskarte when it comes to saving. So for Megan and I, instead of going out to coffee shops all the time, we buy beans and import them from our favorite coffee shops, and that's actually a bit cheaper. It comes out much cheaper.
Even
actually.
if we buy it abroad and pay for shipping.
Yeah, and then now, since we're on diets, we cook. Since we're comfortable cooking together and cooking for one another. So that really lessens the load in terms of expenses. So the few times we do go out, it's not a problem if I pay or if she pays or kung hati kami. So it doesn't even become an issue anymore. So, yeah.
Okay, the next one is, and it's pretty interesting because it's very close to our relationship now. Should we ask permission from our partner if we want to buy something?
I guess when it comes to a relationship that has a future. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, if you're with a girlfriend na sa tingin mo parang 1 year lang kayo, then obviously you don't need to ask for permission. Come on, guys.
I mean, that's like your own thing.
But hey, I'll be honest. I see a future with Bonizi.
Like me.
So we talk about these things. We talk about our expenses. And one very good example of that is Ragnarok.
Oh, yeah. I always ask for permission if I want to buy in-game purchases like BCC, which is something that you buy in Ragnarok.
It's an in-app currency. And same with me. I've actually been reporting to Madam Bones all my expenses. And I would tell her, hey, help me out. Because sometimes, I also need help. I also need reminders na hey, sumusobra ka na. Don't spend too much. And it's been working, especially since we got into gaming.
It actually has, because before I would buy stuff secretly. I wouldn't tell Mikael, and then he'd just be like, what is this? When did you buy this? How much was this? Because he wants me to be able to save, and he wants me to be able to buy things that he knows that I'll use and not just put on the side. And he wants it to be efficient.
Yeah.
One example are these headphones that I really wanted to get. I wanted to get a headphone that we could use for both the podcast
And
and for
streaming.
streaming. So one thing that I learned from Mikael is don't just get the first thing that you see, or don't just get the number one thing that's on a list. Make sure you do your research. Make sure you really look into if it's worth it.
The kids. Okay.
Look if this thing is worth it. Is it a good value for money? So I looked at all the different headsets and I was like, can I get this? And he knew that I did my research. So he was just like, go lang.
Yeah. So yeah, basically when it comes to asking permission or reporting what you spend on, it's a willing activity between us because we know it helps us out. I mean,
And it's become
it's something
healthier for our
yeah,
relationship.
it's something we've grown into. So if you're open about it talaga and you work on it and you really look for ways to be honest and manage your finances properly, you really will come up with your own habits that are very healthy. All right, so we have another question here, and it is it bad to lend money to your partner? Do you think it's necessary for couples to know how much their partner makes? Oh, those are like two questions. Is it bad to lend money to your partner? Wow, that's actually a really tough question. I think that this is always dependent on the level of comfort and how strong the relationship is.
Because it can be quite touchy.
Yeah.
It-
Kasi I'm thinking kasi let's say your family you're taking care of someone and may nangyari biglaan hospital bills,
Yeah.
let's say, and then hindi ka liquid at the moment, so you would need to borrow.
Yeah.
When it comes to something like this, you really need to be able to figure out what kind of relationship you have with the person.
Yeah.
Like with Megan, like I said, I'm committed to her. And I said I'm 100% all in. So if something unfortunate and sudden happens,
Knock on wood.
yeah, knock on wood, then I don't mind helping out. Of course, that's not even that's a no-brainer. But let's say parang 6 months lang kayo. Short time. Huwag naman ganon, guys, 'di ba? Baka maisahan lang kayo pag nag-break kayo, hindi na kayo babayaran nun. Sa totoo lang, ha?
Yeah, because even with family and friends, there's always like a system that we have when they borrow money. Like they'll explain, okay, this is what I need it for, and I can pay you back in this number of months.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So there's a system.
You treat it like a business deal.
Yeah, because you can't just treat it na wala lang. Because what if, if you don't treat it with like heaviness, I think, or may bigat.
If you don't respect it.
Yeah.
If you don't respect the deal. Okay, I like what Megan just said. I love what you just said. Here in the Philippines, when it comes to family and girlfriends and money, for whatever reason, sometimes you feel obligated to give or to lend.
Yeah.
I don't mind that. That's actually fine. Helping out family is
It's fine.
great, but there should always be structure.
There should always be structure, always be a system.
Yeah. I think one thing that surprises me is that, okay, magbibigay tayo sa kapatid natin, sa pinsan natin. Pero when I say, ito yung terms, can we discuss when you're gonna pay back para maayos tayo? And then biglang magagalit. I've seen this. It hasn't happened to me, but I've seen it.
With other people and other
with
friends.
other people. And that should not be the case. Kailangan malinaw. Because
that's your money. That's your hard-earned money.
That's your hard-earned money. And even if you do the same to someone else where you borrow, you want to be able to pay them and give them structure. So you need to put in a system and approach it professionally.
Because if not, then there's no respect for the money that you earned.
And the hard work you put in to earn that money.
Yeah.
So an example, let's say what if you borrowed?
Okay.
Diba?
Because that's the question.
Yeah.
What if I need to
So
lend money?
If you borrowed, let's say 1,000 pesos.
Okay.
I'd be like, okay, sure, not even a problem. And what would be the best thing is if Megan said, hey, okay, I'll pay you 500 pesos at the end of this month and another 500 pesos at the end of next month.
But I would also tell you why I needed to borrow. And I think that's...
And why you needed to pay at those times.
Yes. And I think that's also important that you let kunwari, if I'm borrowing from you, I let my partner know what I need it for. Because if it's just for like some wala lang, or if it's not important.
Oh, baka mag-burger McDo ka lang every day or something. I don't know.
Right? So, I mean, you're kind of also being supportive to your partner that they're spending it on something that isn't wala lang, or something that is useful and good for them.
So, yeah, when it comes to lending money, I think people should not be afraid to put structure and to really talk about it. Hindi yung, sige, ito yung pera, ikaw na bahala.
Yeah.
Wag ganun. You're disrespecting yourself, your hard-earned money, and the person you're dealing with.
And also, let's say you already have a system, don't be shy to ask them to pay you back, because that is money that you earned and they were the ones borrowing it. So I used to have that problem for asking for people to pay me back, but Mikael made me realize that, hey, you spent hours and days even working hard for that. So you should be able to ask for that without feeling bad.
This next question is really good too. Do you think it's necessary for couples to know how much their partner makes? To be honest with you, I want to hear Meghans' answer first.
To be honest with you, obviously we didn't know how much each one of us was earning at the beginning of the relationship. And even when you first started with GMA, I didn't know how much you were earning. I just knew okay, he has like a contract and that's cool. And I think with everything that happened, like with the credit card story, that's when we started asking each other, how much do you make per taping day? How much do you earn?
Because I needed to understand if I wanted to help you.
Yeah, and you needed to understand if I was going to be able to save money, or if I was efficient with my savings.
Okay. I have an answer. I think I have a pretty cool answer.
Really? I don't... Is it necessary? Well, we did discuss that it's necessary if...
Can I share my answer?
Okay, ikaw na.
I'm excited. Sorry, I'm excited.
Ikaw na lang.
No. I do not think that it is necessary that you share how much you earn with your partner. But there is a humongous but. But I think that you and your partner need to get to a level of openness and honesty where it doesn't matter
if you know
how much they earn. Yun yung importante. It has to happen that you guys are so open with one another and so
comfortable,
and so comfortable that even if Megan tells me how much she earns or I tell her how much she earns, we're like, oh, okay, that's cool. That's nice to know. So what? Because your relationship cannot be dependent on money.
And it can't be dependent on who makes more money.
Yeah, it can't.
Especially if you're at the point in your relationship when you're really committed to each other and you see a future with each other. It shouldn't be, like, you shouldn't base your relationship off the amount of money that you earn.
Yeah, kailangan malampasan niya yan. For me, that's like one huge obstacle that all relationships have to get through. I'll drop a bomb right now. I know how much she earns. She knows how much I earn. But we don't care.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm happy for her. She's happy for me. When it comes to money matters, we feel like we've surpassed a certain level where we're very comfortable with one another, which is why we want to share this with everyone, because we have a lot of friends and we know a lot of people where money is a very sensitive issue.
And they're still dealing
with it.
How to talk about it with each other.
Ako, swerte na lang kaming dalawa kasi ako mahilig ako mag-manage ng
money,
financial issues. But for some couples, may dalawa sila hindi mahilig sa finance.
And they both have no knowledge about savings.
Yeah,
or
so
whatnot.
This is why we wanted to come up with this particular podcast episode, and we want to continue this this topic of conversation in future podcasts. There's so much to dive into specifics. So yeah, that's basically our short answer to our semi-short answer to that question. What else do we have?
This is quite funny. How do I deal with my partner who spends so much on games or luxurious items?
Oh, we touched on that a while ago. Priority.
We did, yeah. Priority. What is your priority? But how do you deal with it? Like, because I'm sure there are, let's say, okay, it's typical that the guy is more into games, but I like games also. But how does...
She wants to spend more, actually.
So how does a partner deal with that? Like, how do you support your partner? How do you tell your partner na, hey, over na to?
I think setting budgets is very important. So, I mean, let's work with a 10,000 peso budget.
That's a lot.
No. 10,000 peso budget a month. Just like this is like all your earnings now for a month. Okay, you don't want to spend 80%
Okay. So let's
on
say you
games.
let's say you earn
let's say you earn
10,000
10,000
pesos.
pesos a
Okay.
month. It's a nice round number. Kasi
Okay.
you don't want to spend 80% on games.
Oo
You gotta feed
naman.
yourself, pay for your rent, pay for your electricity, water, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So what would be a good amount? Maybe 5%.
Yeah.
What does that 5% represent? Yes, it represents you spending on games, but it also represents your happiness because games
Yes.
make you happy.
And it just means that, okay, if you do want to spend on games, maybe like be more efficient, like magbaon ka sa work,
Yeah.
make your own food, or don't eat out in restaurants. I mean, even just buying like, let's say a Frappuccino or buying like milk tea for the day, you can put that into something else that you want to spend. Diba?
Yeah, so for example, let's say it's 500 bucks on games and 1,000 bucks on food. Kasi minsan
You eat out.
nag-resto ka, nag-fast food. If you can cut down your food to 500 bucks by cooking at home,
Mm-hmm.
then you have another 500 pesos to spend on your game.
It's just about being efficient. And for us, we learn how to spend efficiently in our games.
Yeah.
Because we found out what to spend and what not to spend in our games.
Okay, Megan and I decided to lessen our time in coffee shops, as heartbreaking as it is, so we could spend more money on games.
Yeah.
And you know how much coffee we drink and how much we love it. So our solution, we still wanted to drink as much coffee as we wanted.
Yeah.
We started to brew our own coffee at home and stick to brewed black coffee.
Mm-hmm.
So nag-order kami ng coffee abroad or ask from our friends.
Yes, to bring home.
And then maraming namimigay rin ng coffee
Yeah.
sa amin. So ang laki nang na-save namin. Isipin mo, one cappuccino is 120 bucks.
And if you have like 100 cups a month.
Yeah, we have like what, 2 a day?
Yeah.
You have 2 a day, that's like 500 bucks in a month. That's 15,000 pesos on
Gosh.
coffee. You'd be surprised how much people spend on coffee, diba?
Yeah.
But
We were able to cut that in half by buying our own coffee and
less
making
than,
it
as in
ourselves.
more, we were able to cut it by more than half. So we're super happy about that, and it makes us less. It makes it easier for us to spend on the other things we want, which are games and other stuff.
I think we can probably end this with a very interesting question.
Oh wow, go.
Okay. Sorry, guys. This is the last question of the day. I got this during the Instagram thing. She asked, should you save up and get married, or should you have little savings, get married, and then save for your future?
My take on this is that I feel in the Philippines there's a lot of I can't speak as for other countries, but
Okay.
here in the Philippines I feel like there's a lot of pressure to have a family, as in my kids right away.
Yeah.
And sometimes that pressure leads to some families, some very young families, not being ready to financially take care of themselves. Or parang not ready in the sense na wala pa silang savings.
Yeah. No
So
foundation yet.
gipit na gipit sila.
Mhm.
Talagang paycheck to paycheck. And for me, I think that wanting a family is very, very good. But you shouldn't pressure yourself into doing it prematurely.
Mhm.
Especially if you're just going to give yourself stress. Because I think having a family should be a happy thing. It should be a happy moment.
Yeah.
And for some people, nakakalimutan nila yun. They just have the family and then nasa stress sila kasi
Because
oh
they
my
don't
God,
have money
ang
to
mahal ng
gastusin.
gatas. Oh my God, ang mahal ng diapers. So you should learn from those who already have families. Talk to them and plan. I think this is where I'm actually going to sound like an insurance agent. Financial planning. No, financial planning is important.
Yes.
When you're able to budget and kind of estimate how much you're going to need, you'll be able to tell naman if you're ready for a family. So
Yeah.
being ready for a family, I think, is not just how much you love the person you're going to be with for the rest of your life, but it's also being ready, being able to support the family financially moving forward.
I also think, well, we haven't gotten married and we haven't experienced,
Have we not gotten married?
ooh. But anyways, jokes aside, we haven't really gone through the process of spending for a wedding. And I think a lot of couples are pressured into having grand celebrations, and they're pressured into spending
yeah.
so much money for a one-day event. And although yes, it's a one-time thing and it's great to get married, but I think there's a lot of pressure to spend all this money and be like the pinakabongga wedding of the year. And I think people don't realize how much money actually goes into these things, and they're like, oh my gosh, we need to save for the wedding, and then after that you're like, oh gosh, I spent this much money on one day.
Which also brings me to an idea. We should have like a wedding podcast.
But we haven't gotten married yet.
When that happens. In time.
Yeah.
In time. Expected.
When we have experience, then maybe we can talk about
Yeah, that would be nice to talk about. Even just the planning.
Gusto
would
mo
be cool.
mag-propose? Baka pwedeng yun muna para may experience tayo dun sa topic na yun.
Well, I have proposed to her in Ragnarok, so our wedding is in Feb 14. Where we're getting married in-game.
In-game
It's a
pa
thing.
lang. Wow, at least, another step in our relationship.
Yeah. No, yeah, but yeah, I think financial planning when it comes to getting married goes a long way. FYI, when it comes to Megan and I, I being a guy, I have a wedding fund. I plan on getting married. I don't know when I'm going to use that wedding fund yet, but it's there. So I've been saving for it. But when the time comes,
That's very interesting. Like, I'm like all like smiles right now because I didn't know that you had a wedding fund.
oh, what? I never said that?
No,
Oh.
because I know that you save money for things that you want in the future, but I never thought oh wow, he really is.
Yeah,
saving
no, I
money
have an
for-
account. I have an account, and it's
Really?
actually been done. Yeah, it's finished. I've stopped putting into it years ago.
What? Talaga?
I mean, it's not humongous.
Years ago?
It's not humongous. It's not humongous. But this was just because I didn't want to have to deal with having to
Putting down so much
save
money
up
for
for a wedding
Yeah.
only when I propose. Parang na-hassle naman yun, diba?
At least now you have a fund for.
Diba? So wala na tayong problema. And then if you want to add more to that, if ever, then you may. And yeah, I have like different bank accounts saved up for different parts of the future. It's not a lot, but it's a good amount.
And at least you already started it.
And at least parang may foundation na siya, diba?
Yes.
Hindi siya from zero.
Mm-hmm.
And on that bombshell, I think we would like to end this podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. Megan is all smiles, very happy to know that she has a little saver beside her right now.
You're making me want to cry right now.
Okay, but anyway, thanks for joining the podcast. See you guys in the next one.
Bye, guys.
Bye.